Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good, Matthew. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Welcome to Mimosas with Michael.
Thank you. Thank
I,
you. I'm very excited.
Dude, I'm really excited to have you on here. I know we've been trying to schedule this mimosa party for a while.
I know. I'm pretty thirsty. I think this has been going on for at least a month.
Well,
I've been
mimosas
holding
are
off
worth
on
it.
my. Yeah, they are. I've been holding off on mimosas at least a month here.
Well, you should never deny yourself a mimosa.
I know. I know. Well, finally we're taking care of it. So.
Well, anyways, I just want to welcome everybody to Mimosas with Michael, and I want to introduce my friend, Matthew Fleming, author of a book called The Dreams. I'm really excited. It's a good book. I enjoyed it. I even gave you a quote for it.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad that you liked it, and I appreciate the quote you gave me. It was nice to be able to put that in the book before I published it.
Well, it's the least I could do since you're buying my mimosa today.
Yeah, well, I'll buy the mimosa, but if we're getting lunch afterwards, you got to buy that.
Dang, I got to do everything.
Yeah, I know.
So how's it been going so far? People are like, what's the feedback on the book? People enjoying it, or?
Yeah, people are enjoying it. It's nice to see. I'm getting a lot of reviews and a lot of feedback through my social media, and I just recently put together my website, which I think is helping more people find me.
Okay.
So that's nice. And then I should have got on it earlier, but recently I got onto Goodreads, which
Oh yeah, Goodreads.
Yeah, that's been nice because it's been able to bring some more people to my page that are more interested in reading and less out there just looking for following and that kind of stuff.
What is
like Instagram?
Oh, okay. Well, and what's your website then?
It's MatthewRFleming.com, just my name.com.
Oh, that's pretty easy, man.
Pretty easy, yep, for sure.
It's like mine, Mimosas with Michael. Can't get any easier than that.
Yeah, you can't forget that. It's pretty easy.
And who doesn't love alliteration?
Exactly.
So, describe the book. So it's sort of like, I guess, a horror thriller, because you kind of like horror, but like, what was the inspiration for this book? And then what made you decide to write a book? Because I wanted to be a novelist growing up. I wanted nothing more than to be like Ernest Hemingway. I actually wanted to be more like Edgar Allan Poe. But then, my life, once I started working in the film, I became more of a script writer. So explain to me like how Matthew R. Fleming became a novelist.
Sure. Well, those are, you throw out big names. You talk about Edgar Allan Poe.
Well, I don't know him personally.
Well, for sure. I don't think anybody alive knows him personally. But you talk about that, or you talk about like Lovecraft, and so you start to go into these, very dark, twisted, but elegant, very, very flowing horror genre, and that's I think where I kind of started.
Okay.
Because in college, my minor was creative writing. I
what was your major?
Law enforcement.
So they're so different.
Oh,
so different.
Yeah, that was so thrilling. It was super dry.
Hey, that probably teaches you a lot about horror, I would think, right? Law enforcement.
Yeah. There's a lot. Well, some of it was laws and stuff like that. So that's not necessarily the direction
that's more horrific.
Yeah. It was definitely more horrific to have to sit through that. But the creative writing was more enjoyable, and I should have done my major as English creative writing, but I didn't, and so now here I am trying to put together writing with just a minor. But I think.
But you did it. I mean, dude, you have a novel. It's not like you were trying to.
For sure, and it's interesting because when I was in college and I was writing in college for my minor, it was difficult. I could never get past 30 pages was about the extent I could write short stories, and I couldn't. After that, I just couldn't write any further than that.
Yeah.
And at one point I just said to myself, okay, well, I've got On Writing by Stephen King, and like I said, I'd read all those books in college. I'd gone through the Lovecraft stories, and I'd gone through Poe, and I've got books and books on Poe's work, and I mean, he's great. It's difficult to try and write like him because he has his own voice, and I think it's very unique. It's
Well, I think
definitely
everybody has their own voice for the most part, but yeah,
for sure. But I think Poe is kind of in a category of his own. Even when you try, because you can look at people and you can be like, oh, you know what, I like King and I like Dean Koontz, and and you can throw these authors kind of into a similar category, but then I think somebody like Poe, there's really nobody else you could throw into his corner. You know what I mean?
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I'd read on Writing by Stephen King, and I said to myself, you know what? Let's see if I can do it. Screw it. I'll sit down and I will see if I can write a book in a month. And so I sat down, I started writing a book. While I was writing a book, I was doing some other research on it. So I started my social media.
Good for you, man.
32 days later, there was a super rough first draft.
Dude, that's because, they do that NaNoWriMo thing, like the National November Writing Month. So that's kind of.
Yeah, I've been seeing, it's been great because with social media, I have a lot of writers that follow me. And so I see a lot of people who are like, oh, yeah, I just got done and, I'm doing this or, whatever with trying to get that book put out there.
Yeah.
Which is definitely exciting for them. I don't know that I would ever try and write a book. It was a not a pleasant month. I don't think I would ever try and do that in a month again. I might give myself like 3 months to write a book next time, but it was definitely a good experience.
But don't you think it would be easier the second time? I mean, you did it the first time.
Yeah, I think it would be easier just because I would know that, okay, yeah, I'm going to be able to get to the end. When you're writing for the first time, you're halfway through and you're like, oh my God, where is this going to go? I've got an outline, but who knows what this is going to develop into? Because as you're writing and things just kind of flow up and you're like, wow, I didn't even know I'm 3/4 of the way in. And when I started chapter 1, I didn't know what chapter 13 was going to have.
Yeah. And that's true. And that's kind of like, I think the fun part about writing is like, it's really funny because when I write, especially with movies, like I always have an idea and I have an outline. And then like, even when I'm writing, I'm like, oh shit, okay, we're going this way. That's kind of fun.
Right. And then the outline goes out the window for a little while. And then you're like, ooh, wait, I got an outline. Maybe I can see where I'm at.
I like that because you're like, oh, wow, here's a twin brother. Like, okay, let's just go see where this goes. And that's kind of fun.
And those are the things I think are interesting that people are going to enjoy, but they might not enjoy it as much as you or I would, knowing, hey, this guy, this part right here, this is special,
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, who doesn't want anything special?
For sure.
The holidays are coming. We all want stuff special. We all want special things.
Yes. Well, hopefully everybody wants my book for the holidays. That's the special thing that they should be wanting.
No. Buy your horror book now for the holidays. That's funny. I find that a lot when I write, because I read a lot of horror myself. And I just had a reading not that long ago of a script that I wrote. And I was actually surprised at how well it turned out. But then, like, the audience and the actors were like, oh, this is so great, but like maybe just at the beginning you need this. And I was like, oh, all right, cool, so I'll explore that. And then I found, because I travel a lot for work, and so I spend a lot of time like in airports and on airplanes and hotel rooms, and I'm stuck here, and I'm like, okay, let me just write. And I find that like as I'm putting more with like a specific character who was a small sort of ancillary character, and all of a sudden now she's a little bit bigger, and it's sort of nice to bring her towards the front because I didn't think she had a lot to offer, and she did, and it's the mother of the character, and it's like, wow, like. So I was talking to my other producer, and I was like, so we have to get a bigger actor now because we have a bigger role. He was like, great, sounds good. But it's so fascinating because I never wanted it to be a lot about the mother, which is not a bad thing, but I'm learning that maybe there's parts of her that I need to sort of help compel the story. Right. I love that. That's the funnest thing about writing.
For sure, because these characters mean, even if a character just shows up in one scene for a script or for a book or wherever it is, that one character most of the time is not just like, what's the name off the top of my head? Okay, let's throw this person in here for fun. Normally that person is picked specifically at the beginning, or you're like, oh, you know what, this person in my mind, I really want this person in there. And so while they don't have a huge role in your book, they have a great amount of importance because you probably picked them from something.
Yeah. It's a good example, which is, I don't know why it just popped in my head and it's sort of random, but there was a play done many years ago that was turned into a movie called Doubt. And the movie has Meryl Streep where she's a nun. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's a good, no, I mean, I should,
oh, okay.
Good. That's a good role for her.
No, but it's a good story, and it's about a pastor, and for the life of me, I cannot think. Philip Seymour Hoffman played the pastor. And it's a story about a priest who is accused of molesting a young black kid.
Okay.
And so, but what's interesting about it is it was one of Viola Davis's first roles, right? She was sort of an unknown, but this woman is in one scene. In the play, she's only in one scene, right? It really has only three characters, and then this one woman is in one entire scene, and it's unbelievably pivotal. I can't even talk. See Mimosas.
Too many Mimosas.
That's how great they are. The scene is so pivotal because she's the mother of the young kid, and I mean, I think Viola Davis was nominated for an Oscar for a supporting role, and she was in one scene. But that's how powerful that character was.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's the ability to be able to bring in, somebody that people are going to remember at the end of the book, play, movie, whatever it is, and they took a very small amount of either ink or typing, but the time required to develop that person and the thought behind how they come into the story and what their impact is and kind of how that echoes throughout the remainder.
Sure, not to cut you off, but
no, it's fine.
It's my show. No, I'm just kidding.
Cut me off. It's your show.
No, but we can relate it to something in horror where, in the first Friday the 13th, it's you have this killer who is all through the movie, and you don't even find out till the very end that it's Jason's mother, and she's probably only in a couple of scenes, but her presence and what she's all about is through the entire movie. And you see movies all the time where they mention a character and then at the very end you see them for a scene. So it's such a fascinating way to explore that about that.
Yeah, and that, it was interesting when I was writing The Dreams, my antagonist came in for the first draft. My antagonist came in really early.
Okay.
And then I ended up pushing him back, and I think he came in earlier than I would now if I was to rewrite it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is that draw to want to bring that face forward, that face of evil or that character forward, and then being able to hold back and not, so that it can build that suspense and it can build that horror, not being in the front. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? It's
yeah, of course. I mean, my story, not to cut you off, but my
keep cutting me off, please.
It's my show.
Time I'll be on the show.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it's a give and take. You say little, I say little. Why you say little, I say a lot, I think is what's going to happen.
Well, I can talk, but yes, go ahead.
People, when they listen to my last podcast, are like, "Oh, you talk so much." I was like, "I know, but I think I'm interesting." So,
yeah.
But in my script, I start off with the murder, right, and then I kind of work backwards, leading up to it about what got us there. And people were like, "But I know who killed her." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's not about the murder. It's about what got us there." And that was the story I wanted to change. So, I think sometimes bringing the evil up front right away is not always a bad thing, specifically.
No, for sure. No, not in every situation. And I think that's a special situation where you're kind of working backwards.
Yeah.
When you see, I'm trying to think, and there's plenty of movies or books where that happens, but those kind of situations are unique because it's not easy to do that.
No.
It's not easy. It's easy for me to say, well, I mean, it's kind of easy. It's easy for me to say, hi, you don't know what this thing is, and I'm going to kind of tell you what this thing is, but you're not really going to know until way over here.
Yeah, but that's cool. That's fun.
For sure. And for sure, it's fun, but it's a whole different style to be able to bring that person forward up front and be like,
yeah,
here's your take. Now let me explain why it's good and keep their attention while you're, you know what I mean? And that's just a totally different way. That's a different angle of going at it, and kind of what's difficult for me because now I'm writing the second book.
Oh shit!
And so this is what I'm running into.
What's it called, The Nightmares?
Maybe, who knows? I mean, we got The Dreams, and so it's going to be a sequel. So I mean, I'm toying with what the I keep calling it the Dreams 2 on social media because
Well,
I'm not even close. I mean, I'm not even close to trying to name the thing. But everybody already knows what my antagonist is come book 2. They already know what's going on in book 1, you know. And so there have been people who have said, I don't even know how there could be a book 2 after book 1. Like, what is that even gonna entail? And so starting book 2 and being like, you know, oh my God, I got to somehow bring this mystery which unfolded through this whole book and came to a conclusion at the end. Somehow I have to bring this already known element and create a whole other book on it, which I think is fun in the challenge.
Yeah,
I have no idea how long it's going to take me.
Well, that's okay. You still have a book you're trying to sell.
For sure.
And you're trying to create this, you know, a presence for yourself. So, I mean, I'm proud of you for even finishing the first one. Most people are like, I want to be a writer, but you did it. And you just had a minor in creative writing, so boo-yah to you.
Well, it definitely took a lot of time. It was funny because, you know, and even if I could pull it, I mean, I do. I'll make corrections and I'll throw it back up onto Amazon. Routinely, I'll do that when I find things or when people point out things. But
okay,
you know,
cool. True that.
When I get, you know, when I wrote it and I had that book, you know, I went through 2 sets of beta readers. I then went through 2 sets of professional editing, aside from my own like constant poring over it. Because I mean, I had that thing for like 11 months, you know, going through drafts and going over it, you know. And I think you know, as a writer, and I think not many people really get it, is that when a writer has a book, it's never a final copy. Oh, what's the final draft? It's never the final. It's never the final draft.
No, you just have to kind of hit a point where I'm okay with it where it's at.
Right.
Which is hard. But you know, I had a friend of mine years and years ago when I first wrote. I started off as a poet, and I had written my first book of poetry, well, my only book of poetry, and I was like, I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm so ready for the world to see it. It's gonna be great. And my friend looked at me and she goes, before you publish this book, make sure that it's something that 20 years from now you'll still be proud of. And I was like, no, I'll be proud of it. Yeah, that sounds great. And then I thought about that, and I was like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, I'll give it another once over. And I'm glad I did because, you know, I did it so many years ago, and I'm still proud of it. I mean, I was young, and I'm a much better writer now, but at least I did it, man, and it was great to have that experience, and I'm glad. That's probably one of the best advice anybody's ever given me when it comes to anything I've ever done. So
20 years ago, you wrote that when you were, what, 10, 11?
Well, I mean, I didn't write that 20 years ago, but damn near. No, I mean, yeah, you know what, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Okay, there we go.
These mimosas make me look young, I promise.
Well, I think that's what's interesting with you know, where writing has come to now, especially for me, with it being it's a pro and it's a con. You know, self-publishing is great. It's great for me because I can get my foot in the door and I can kind of show people what I want to bring to the table. And not to say that it wouldn't be taken by a publishing company, but I didn't want to go through that process because there are so many good works that are sitting in the rejected pile with publishing companies that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go forward and see what I can do on my own. And I think it's great that Amazon and, you know, all these other companies, digital companies, you know, allow authors to come forward. But I think one of the problems that it creates for people is that anybody can put anything online and call it a book, you know, and then publish it. No editing, no professional editing, no professional cover design.
Yeah,
no nothing.
People do that with movies. You can put anything.
For sure. And
I mean, self-publishing is like the independent filmmaking. But you're right. And that's the thing is that's sort of the risk you take is that anybody can put anything online now.
Right.
I mean, look at YouTube. People put the weirdest, most inane stuff on YouTube. But
for sure. And so for you and for me, getting that credibility and building that kind of resume, if you will, is difficult because a lot of people want to see that. What I didn't realize and what I'm realizing now is that people look at my book right away and they're already, and rightly so, they're comparing it to a King or to a Dean Koontz or you know, to whoever, and
whoever.
Those people are already saying like, okay, this is an indie published book. This is a guy who's just publishing on Amazon.
Well,
the thought process is already there for them to say this is going to be a subpar work. And that's what indie publishing on Amazon has done, is because so many people just churn out these books that don't. If you go on Kindle store and you look through just these whatever things people throw up there, no editing, no extra time spent. I'll meet these authors too through social media, and I try and encourage them to utilize. And again, it's not easy when you don't make money on your book, but you talk to these people and say, look, maybe you should try and get an editor. I read a book where there was just a single word sitting in between two paragraphs as a typo. It was just a word sitting in. I'm like,
oh my God.
This is why, right. And this is why people hesitate to buy indie books, because the quality control is non-existent. And I think that scares people.
Well, but yeah, we could look at it in the film world. I work in film besides having this podcast. And I work on stuff all the time where I'm like, I don't understand how this movie got made, or I watch things and I'm just like, I don't get it.
Right.
And I work hard. I have readings and I try to hit up as many industry professionals as I can for people to look at my work. And sometimes I'm just like, this movie, if I work on a movie and I'm like, this one would have been better with maybe just one rewrite, or but I think that's the thing with art, is that one, it's so subjective, and two, it's like you have to try extra harder to get your voice out there. And I think you're great on social media. You're extremely active. You post constantly, which is great. You tag people. And I think that's the thing, is people look at you and go, okay, this guy wrote this book, but look, he's out there actually like trying to be a legitimate author. You're not just trying to be one guy, a fly-by-night sort of like author who I think.
Right.
And it's the same with me. It's like people are like, holy shit, you're out there doing it. Like I'm not just writing, but I'm on set and I host networking events and I do the podcast and I do this and this. And so I'm always trying to prove to people that I'm actually like legitimate about what I try to do. And I don't just try to be a man who talks about it. Because I'm a huge believer that your actions have to speak really loud. Right.
For sure.
Especially for us that are up and coming. It's just like, and you probably see this when you're talking to those authors, and I've seen this as a filmmaker, even when I was an author. It's like people always talk about doing it. Like, I want to write a book. Well, good. While you're talking about writing a book, I'm going to be over here writing the book, right? And so, like, you have to let the work, in that sense, speak for itself. And look at you. I think that's great. You have people reviewing the book. You have people talking about the book. Now you're on the show. So, really, that
you. And I bring it up. Mark Dawson. Do you know who Mark Dawson is?
No, I don't know.
I think he's in the UK, and I'm trying to think. His books are kind of like a Jack Reacher kind of book that he does. But he, besides doing that, and he's super, super successful with those. But besides doing that, he does like author social media YouTube videos.
Okay.
And he's actually started a class, and I reached out to him, and he emailed me back like 10 minutes after I emailed him, which is amazing. Yeah. But so I emailed him, and I'm like, Mark, it's crazy because I have all these authors on my fan page, and I have all these authors on my author page, and none of them want to put the work in to get the fans. None of them want to
and that's crazy
do any kind of marketing. Right. And I'll talk to authors who and he's like, you're right. He's like, they're not going to succeed because they're not out there. They're just, here's my book, here's my screenplay, here's my whatever it is. Boom, I'm going to put it out there, and it's amazing. It's the best thing in the world. I'm going to let it speak for itself.
Which is true. There's nothing wrong with having good work.
No.
But you have to make sure people can see it and hear it.
Right. And the only way to make sure people can see it is you got to engage people, and you got to say, hey, you like this thing, or you seem like you'd like this. Here's what I have to offer. Because no one else is going to champion for you except you. Right. Somebody might like I'll throw, I think I tagged you recently in a picture, with your book on my page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
that will come up.
Yeah.
But for the most part, those things are happening once a week, once a month, whatever it is.
Of course. And
if you're not doing it yourself, nobody's going to see the amazing work that you're putting out there.
And they say that even if you have a big publisher publish your book, even the author should still be out there talking about it.
For sure, because at a certain point, that publisher, and one of the main reasons I don't go mainstream publishing is at some point that the publisher, is going to pull your book.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not going to be getting the sales. New guys coming up, they're waiting for your next book, and it's going to get pushed to the back of the shelves. It's not going to be frontline anymore. Whereas you can, if you take charge of it, whether you're self-published or traditionally published, you can champion your book. You can champion your writing. You can push it to the front all the time, and you can talk about it, which is what I love about being in control of it, which is sadly what I see a lot of people who would be very good failing, because and I see people that are better writers than I am on Instagram, and they've got like one review on Amazon, or they've got 2 reviews on Goodreads.
Yeah, of course.
And I reach out to them. I'm like, why is this? I was like, I've almost got 50 reviews on Amazon. I've got, in a matter of like a week and a half, I've been able to get 25 reviews on Goodreads. Like, what are you doing?
Your audience needs to review this podcast now and how great you are online.
Well, I'm definitely gonna be throwing this thing. I need that picture from you so I can put our thing together.
Oh yeah,
it's
okay.
Going to be out there. But
our promo. I'll do it today. I'm sorry. It's just because I don't know. I'm busy doing a podcast and writing and making movies and stuff.
You are.
No, that's such an excuse.
But it's a good one. You had to unfriend one person on Facebook to be able to friend me. That's how popular you are. You got too many. Facebook won't allow you any more friends. I realize how popular you are.
Well,
I appreciate the time.
Well, and it's not just that. It's like I love what I do, and I love exploring. I love exploring other art. It's like I used to work in an office, and I told this to my cousin over Thanksgiving not that long ago. He's just like, I have a cubicle job, and it's so soul crushing. And I was like, yeah, and it is good for some people, but I can't sit still. Like I'm in a hotel room right now well, we don't say that because we're having mimosas, but anyway.
Well, okay, now we're having mimosas in your motel room, so just got scandalous.
Hey, scandal, that'll help sell your book.
There we go.
There you go.
Love it.
No, but that's the thing. It's like he was just, I get to travel. I've been working on the show, and I've been bouncing around from, a couple of other states, and I like that. I like that because it's like I just feel like I don't travel a lot, but I'm able to like go to places I haven't been to before, and I stay in hotel rooms. And it's not like a consistent thing, but it's enough where I feel like I'm always on an adventure. And I love that. I like that.
Right.
That's important to me. That means a lot because, I was such a young age when I got an office job. And then, when I hit 30, I was like, I can't do this anymore. It is soul crushing. But I don't ever want to dissuade people from having an office job because some people are married and have kids and sort of need that stability. And I actually respect that.
And what's interesting is that I totally agree with you 100%. And I think that, for me, that's a huge draw for me with writing is that I don't necessarily have to go anywhere to be able to vary what I'm doing.
Yeah, of
and
course.
to be able to vary my life. You know what I mean? You can sit down on a computer in the same house, in the same city, in the same state, and it can be a different month. And you can say, you know what? I've got 2 or 3 unfinished books that I started and just said, you know what, the heck with it. I'm not feeling it. I'm moving on to the next project.
Yeah.
And you can't do that in your cubicle in a day job. You got to I've got this assignment. I got to do it. But for guys like us, we can just pick and choose and decide and go whatever direction we want with it for the most part.
And not only that, but it's one thing about writing is you can do it wherever you want. So I have been able to write on planes and hotel rooms. And I can just sit outside in a park. I can sit at my desk. I can sit at a coffee shop. I like that. It's like, again, it's always an adventure. And that's one thing. That's why when I meet new authors or new artists, I'm always like, I just push them because, it's like, one, it's hard to stay motivated regardless. So we have, as authors and artists, we have to sort of challenge each other and support each other and hold each other accountable because, it's hard. You have to bare your soul and there's a lot of frustration.
For sure. It's different when you have, a boss and you're in, like, we'll go back to talk about the cubicle, and your boss says, hey, you could have done better on this assignment, or that's just one assignment. When you're writing something, how long does that take? How much work? My book took me a year. It probably could have taken me less, but it took me a year to put together and
your
and
first
get it
one.
published.
That's pretty good, I think.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not upset about it. I think a year was a good time for the first one and kind of getting to know it.
Yeah.
But when you see that first 2-star review, or you see that first critical review, and you're like, that's when it hits you. That's when it's like, okay, it's real. This is what you're going to get. You put your ideas out there and your art and the thing that you've been working for and been super excited about, and you put it out there, and now people are going to come back. And I think it's great. When I see those reviews, initially, I'd get annoyed about it, but now I look at it and I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this review?
Yeah.
And, how many of them are there? Right. And then when I kind of put it in perspective, I'm like, okay, well, just like in any other job, you're going to have people who are critical of your work.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
For sure. And there's always something to learn, even from the people who are the most critical and the most unrealistic. There's always some level of truth to learn behind the criticism. And I think that was nice to get that first 2-star review out of the way for my career, because now I can say, okay, any more that come in, I've already dealt with number one, and I have 2 of them right now, and I'm sure I'll have more before the end.
But look at this. At least they're reading your book.
1-star reviews. Well, there you go. And that's, and I think I'm trying to remember which author, and I can't remember who it was, but whoever it was said that, and this is kind of a little bit more extreme of a look at it than I would take, but it doesn't matter what somebody thinks about your book, because you've already achieved your goal once they buy it.
Yeah, and that's exactly so true.
And and it's a little different nowadays, because with all the reviews and the marketing and everything's online, and you've got to see what other people say. But at a certain point, if that person was drawn in to buy your book, and and I had one lady who reviewed my book, and she actually, which is one thing that drew me to Goodreads, she went to like 4 or 5 different sites and gave me a 2-star review, as many places as she could find an account to give me a 2-star review.
Wow. That's some work right there.
Well, it was. And strangely, I do appreciate that, because now it's opened me to, okay, now I need to make sure I'm getting reviews from people on other sites, and it kind of helps me figure out, where I needed to be looking to make sure that I was getting, not biased reviews, but people who have honestly reviewed me on Amazon say, hey, you know what, can you guys take your honest review and move it over to this site as well? Just so it wasn't because that person clearly was just out there to throw that 2-star review and be the only 2-star review, to be the only review on the one page and make it look.
And
which is unfortunate, but whatever.
They're probably trying to be a writer and they're not, and you did it, and who knows? They could have had a bad day,
for sure. And I think it would be strange for me to say that I think I like my book. Do I think it's a 5-star book? I enjoy it. There are things I probably would change about it, and I'm going to work on changing as funds become more available, for sure.
Of course.
But it being book one, I'm super excited with what people are thinking about it at this point, and just looking forward, I'm like, if I'm already getting this kind of feedback on book one, this could theoretically turn into something for me where,
of course, which will be great.
It would be awesome.
Well, Matthew, I'm so proud of you for doing your first book. Tell everybody again where they can buy you and find you on your social media.
Well, you can find me. I'm on Instagram is the main account I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Matthew R. Fleming author. I'm on Tumblr, and I'm on Twitter. You can find me, and all those links are on my website, which is super easy. If you remember my name, it's MatthewRFleming.com, and all the links for social media are on there. I'm on a bunch of I'm on Drafted Digital, which puts me on a whole bunch of different digital locations to buy my book for ebook. I'm on Amazon. Amazon's a big one, so you can buy paperback and my ebook on Amazon.
Well,
and again, the book's name is The Dreams.
The Dreams. Well, I'm so proud of you for reaching this milestone in your life, and thank you so much for having Mimosas with us today.
Yeah, I think I'm a little tipsy. I think I'm at like 5 right now.
All right, well, take a nap and then get back on your second book. And you can listen to this podcast. We're mimosaswithmichael.com. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and now we're available on Stitcher Radio. You can find us there. Download the app. It's free music and radio. So thank you so much, Matthew, and I hope to follow up again later. Maybe we'll have you back on and we could have Mimosas and talk about your second book.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me on, and I can't wait to come back.
Yeah. Oh, you have a great day, my friend. All right. Take care.
All right. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.